All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MediaJel podcast. I'm Guillermo Bravo, your host today, and I'll be discussing, the digital marketing ecosystem. So everything that you can do for your cannabis dispensary or brand. Uh, just a little background on MediaJel. MediaJel connects brands and retailers with cannabis consumers through our ad network of mainstream publishers, mobile apps, games, and TV. We integrate paid search with SEO and programmatic advertising to support e-commerce sales at every step of the customer journey. Today, I have Nick Johnson, who is the director of paid search here at MediaJel, bringing 9 years of experience in paid advertising, working in the agency and automotive industries, scaling ad campaigns nationwide. Welcome to the podcast, Nick.
Thanks, Guillermo. Nice to be back. It's always fun doing this.
Yeah, appreciate you joining me today. So, like I said, we're going to be covering, the ins and outs of what you can and can't do as far as advertising the cannabis space. Really how to build a thriving cannabis digital marketing ecosystem. So, Nick, I guess we can start from the top. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with what is the foundation of the entire marketing ecosystem and why is it the website?
Yeah, so the website is your online business card, right? So this is where everyone can go to find, your address, your name, like your story, like who you are as a company. This is all done through your website. And a lot of the digital marketing channels that you'll be leveraging, that I'll be discussing later in this webinar, will all be sending traffic to your website. So you really need to ensure that, you have all the core features that are critical for driving business on your website. So,
okay, well, I guess with that in mind, the core features of a business card are contact info, your name, your email, your phone number. What are those core features that are crucial then for a website? What if you're saying that's the foundation? Where do we start at MediaJel as the crucial points of that foundation?
Yeah. So, I guess for the first thing, you need to make the UX easy to use. So, make sure that your message is front and clear on who you are as a company and what you're delivering. So if you're a dispensary, you should have your location, your shop, your where to order, a click to order, call to actions, all front and center. So, for a website, I would say, make the UX easy to use, the user experience. Make sure that it's built for mobile devices. Like everyone's on their cell phones nowadays, right? So ensure that the website is really easy to use on their cell phone or mobile devices, but it's also built for tablets as people are on their iPads as well, and desktop. So making sure that the website is available across all those channels, and then make sure that the website loads fast. That's one part of SEO, and one part of really just retaining customers on your website. Like it should be easy to navigate and fast to get to where they like to get.
Right. You don't want to confuse or lose people, for sure.
Exactly. And then you want
to with the cannabis industry aspect there. Is it something that do you still want Google and search engines crawling the site? Do you still want them performing their basic services there from a performance metric, or does that need to be at all altered or blocked because of the industry?
No, I mean, you definitely don't want to block crawlers from going through your website. So, Google is the, number one search engine. They're responsible for, I think, 91.6% of all search traffic globally. So you want to make sure that your cannabis store or your brand in your website is crawlable by search engines, so that you can start to get that organic traffic. And we'll share a little bit to why that is. It's it's a crucial part of your business long term. I'd say one thing I didn't mention as far as like make clear call to actions. So for a dispensary website, you should have an order online button like front and center. And if you're on your cell phone, it should be maybe on the top right or the middle of your page. And on your phone, on your phone, you want to make sure that it's above the fold. And by above the fold, meaning you don't have to scroll to actually get to the call to action. It should be like right there, as soon as you load the website.
Okay, cool. And so from the MediaJel side for us, what does that all typically entail? What does that cost wise? What does that run if we needed to go in and build a whole site for a client?
Yeah, I mean, so working with MediaJel or with an agency, you can expect to pay anywhere from like $3,000 up to, I would say, $20,000 on like say a multi-store location website, or if you like kind of special features. Actually, it might be a good exercise right now if I can share my screen and I can show you a few examples of sites just to, so people have a good idea.
Yeah, it'd be good context, especially in a range from 3 to 20,000. There's probably different options, customizability, all that kind of stuff probably comes into play.
Yeah. So I'll just show you. So this is VitaCan out of New York. I believe some of our friends at High Hopes developed this, but they have they have a lot of stores, right? So they wanted to have the ability to see information about each of these locations and then be able to shop online fairly quickly. So you can see that the business information is front and center. The address is there. Their shopping cart is there. Shop now is there. They have different ways that you can shop: by flower, by pre-rolls. So this is a really nice website. I'd say another one that I've seen is like Sunnyside Cannabis. They've done a great job at this as well. Here's a glimpse at the kind of compliance side. So, making sure that you have your 21 and up opt-in. They've kind of gone a similar direction. It's really easy to find a store. You can sort by state. And then if I shrink this a little bit and I look at the mobile experience, you can see how this changes if you're on an iPhone.
Wow. Still pretty functional though. Yeah. Nothing gets cut off. You don't lose any info.
Yeah. So really ensuring like that, all the best practices are in place. So you go to flower, I can immediately, looks like Wriggleville or Lakeview is my default store here. So if I want to go to a different store, I can swap stores, go to Buffalo Grove or Chicago. Nice. So shop adult use here. Okay. And then another one, like just looking at a brand. I'm sure how to spell it. Cannabis. Cannabis has done a great job as far as the brand perspective, providing a great user experience. Just click yes there.
Oh, wow.
So they have, what sets them apart is I believe they use the Jane menu so that you can actually find stores near you if you share your location. Oh, cool. So let's just take a look at that. Cannabis brands. So this is a way to go direct to consumer for brands. This is something that a lot of brands that are offering yet, but Cannabis has definitely kind of set themselves apart by offering this. Looks like they make this available in Los Angeles, so you can actually order delivery from their shopping cart directly from the brand store. So,
oh wow, that's really interesting. So this is all website based and builds there, and now we're talking menus. It seems like a good segue to get into some SEO, since this is kind of a custom or unique industry in that aspect. Where are the pillars, or where are the foundation for the SEO side? Is it mostly menu based? Is it more content, blog based, like maybe a traditional non-e-commerce site? hybrid mix? What do you think is the best approach to get the organic results at the top of the page?
Yeah, so I'd say the pillars for SEO is going to be on-page optimization. So SEO is search engine optimization, and that's really optimizing your website and making sure it's built so that search engines can actually read and process the content on your website, with the goal of ranking at the top of search engine results page. So I can actually show you a little bit of that as well. So let me just pull that up here. So let's say in San Diego, and I want to go to a cannabis store. So at the top here, you'll see this is actually a paid search ad. Mm-hmm. This is something that we use on a regular basis. This is your background, your expertise is really ensuring that our clients are at the top of the search results page for a Google ad. Under that would be the organic search results. So the goal of SEO for a cannabis store would be to rank in this local pack here. Local pack. So there's typically 3 organic slots for organic search. So this is the local pack, and then under that will be the regular organic results.
Gotcha. This
is a few ways that you can rank here. And one thing to keep in mind is, this is on a desktop. So if I were on a phone, I'd probably be using my Google Maps app. So if you go into Google Maps and search for a cannabis store or dispensary near me, that's where these results would be here. Urban Leaf, we supported on the SEO there, so I'm happy to see that they're at the top ranking.
I was noticing that.
March and Ash, looks like they're spending money there. So yeah, on the SEO front, you want to ensure that your website is built for search engines, and on-page optimization would be one way to do that. And I'll just kind of show you on Urban Leaf where that would be. So on the header here, we have cannabis dispensaries as part of the title tag. So on-page
optimization SEO too, that top header.
Yeah, so the top header is actually called the title tag.
Okay.
And I'll just show you where that is here. So the title tag is this section right here. So you can actually mark this up in your website so that it displays on the search engine results page.
Oh, nice.
And then this is called your meta description. So that's right under the title tag. And then I'll just kind of show you, let's look at a location. Let's do San Ysidro. So you can see the title tag says San Ysidro Urban Leaf Cannabis Dispensaries. San Diego dispensary is the header tag of the web page. So this is called the H1 tag. Okay. And then they also have their address, phone number, all their business details. We typically recommend to put, let's say like nearby attractions, so you can associate the page with things that are going on in the neighborhood. So, they have hotels, they got restaurants. SEO content is key to this. So content is king on the SEO front, and you want to ensure that that is strategically placed within the page as well. And then in addition to that, you want to create content on a regular basis for the blog. So let's see if I can find that here. Looks like they have some of their new arrivals, products. They have some deals going on here. Really, I guess one thing to keep in mind is to education and resources. So here you go. So here's some content that they put together. So women in cannabis, this is one piece of content that was put together. Large piece of content. So blog posts, content. I would call it evergreen content. So, what is the difference between sativas and indica, how to consume edibles, the dose, details on how the dosing and like what is the best practice or recommendation on that. All those content pieces would be helpful for your consumer, and those would be considered evergreen content. So that's a lot of the on-page SEO that takes place for a website.
Okay. So if we just were a client and we just got a new website, built and running, do you need to give Google or the search engines time to start optimizing? When do you start SEO work after you get a new site implemented? Is it immediate or is there a lag?
So for a site, you should really take SEO into place before you even build a site, like take into consideration. During that first phase, like if a new store that's opening, you can have all the content created, and you can first thing you want to do is set up your Google My Business listing, not separate from the site, because that can take about 2 weeks for you to receive a postcard to that address to confirm that that's an actual location that you own. That's kind of brings us to our next point, is link building. So SEO is heavy on-page SEO. So a lot of the title tags, descriptions, the content, everything needs to be marked up with search engines in mind. We call this schema. So you can actually mark this up for each page. You can say this page is a San Ysidro cannabis store. And then if you have another page for San Diego or for Los Angeles, you would mark up each of those individually, so that that store, that location, and that listing shows up, as I showed you before, in that local pack for every city that you're in. Wow. So that's, there's a big difference between, when you're managing SEO for one location versus, 100 stores. There's a lot more to it. So you really want to ensure that the infrastructure and the sitemap of your website is in place, and that it's all managed by, either in-house if you have someone on the SEO side, or through a partner agency.
Okay. So if you're matching or tagging up in the link building, if you're doing each, location page by city and cannabis store, does that only apply to the location page, or do you have to then tag all of the main pages with all of those tags, or how do you differentiate there?
Yeah. So for each page, you'd mark them up separately. And then for anything that involves a location, there's kind of like a different language that you'd mark up. It was like location schema.
Gotcha.
And then you would connect that to your Google Search Console. So Google Search Console allows you to submit your sitemap and also check to make sure your schema is valid. Nice. So there's a lot of technical components to the back end of for search engine optimization and SEO, but it is one of I would say the top digital marketing tactic for driving e-commerce revenue to your site. I mean, we have I would say between all our clients, I would say it's 70% of all their online sales is coming from SEO.
Yeah, so I know. I work in paid search. I see it. I lose to them every month.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what are the monthly costs then? If you're driving all this revenue, how does that work? Are there certain tactics you can start with to minimize cost? Would you have to grow into a more expansive plan? Does that differ if you're an MSO versus single operator as far as that implementation goes?
Yeah, so I would set a budget for each location. I would say $1,000 minimum. That's honestly not enough. So at least dedicate $1,000 to it. I would say $3,000 for a location like San Diego. It may take you $5,000 plus, because there's just high competition. And San Diego is known for digital marketers. So, there's every cannabis store in San Diego is investing a significant amount of money in this tactic. So, San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Oakland, all those cities are going to have high competition, but there's, high return on investment, right? So, we have partners that are spending upwards of $10,000 on one store because it's that crucial to their business.
So in that aspect, then, is that a play where is it a volume thing? Is that a lot of content being produced? Is that a numerous number of like backlinks and tags in the meta descriptions or that area, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be heavy on content and then heavy on link building. So link building is what takes place outside the website. So it's another website linking to yours. I guess the easiest way you can look at it is like social media, like you post an image and people up like that. It's the same thing. Like people are giving, saying that you're a credible website and they're giving you an vote. So that's where a lot of the funds are spent because that's how you increase trust and authority with Google, is really like building your backlink profile.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep. And we have the audience here, so feel free to jump in and ask your questions. If you familiarize yourself with the Q&A in the bottom or the chat in Zoom, like I'm more than happy to answer your questions live. We'll be talking about marketplaces, social media, paid search, display advertising, digital out-of-home advertising, email, and SMS. So anything that you have questions on regarding any of those topics, feel free to add them below. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good little segue into our marketplace discussion then. And I think we've got our pre-thought of questions. We've got one Q&A here. How long does it take to see increase in sales on a website? And I assume that would be after an SEO implementation, Jim. So after kind of an initial launch and structure of SEO, when can you see that increase in those returns? Yeah, so SEO is going to take, I would say, give it 3 to 6 months at least to see some traction. SEO is a triathlon. It's a long process. It involves all the pillars I mentioned before, on-page optimization, content, link building, really building your listings across all platforms like Yelp, Google, Bing, Foursquare. Like there's a lot of places that you have to build your presence. So be patient with those efforts because it is worth the investment in time. Like it is a significant part of your business and revenue, and it does take some dedication to see results, especially if you're a brand new store. It's going to take you a little longer because Google's not familiar with your brand or your business. But if you've been around for a little bit, say 1 or 2 years, and you have some history with Google, you can start to see those results faster. So I would start slow, keep it focused maybe on one location, really drive results for that one location, and then kind of expand from there. Nice. Mason has a question about programmatic and display. Do you want to cover that now or wait a little bit till we get to that section?
How long is it taking? We can cover it now.
Yeah. Okay. I like it too. Is there a way to buy display directly without using a data provider like Surfside, et cetera, specifically for cannabis accessories, bong, ashtray? So what are other good media placement options for this space? Solid question, Mason.
Yeah. So let me just go through that. Without using a data provider. So you could, I guess the answer to that question would be you can use your own PMP or a private marketplace. If you want to go direct and buy through like a Centro or some of the other like Trade Desk, and you want to just buy directly through those platforms, then you can. As far as the data sources, you can buy them from a Surfside. You can buy data from a partner like us. Like we have our own data sets of cannabis consumers. You can also buy data from like a third party, like a New Frontier data or like a BDS Analytics. So there's a lot of different channels for you to actually purchase data. And then specifically for like bongs and ashtrays, I'd have to look to see what like data partners would have that information available. One strategy I would recommend for that is you could geofence all the head shops in the United States for bongs and anyone that sells these type of accessories and like drug paraphernalia. And then we could do a look back over the last 6 months on anyone who's walked in and had like the location services on their phone and walked into that store and create an audience from that. So, I mean, that would be one strategy that I would recommend. And, I'm happy to kind of walk you through that process. It's something that we do all the time, especially for like head shops and cannabis stores. And if there's any other like ancillary businesses that you think people would go and visit on a regular basis that would be relevant to that audience, we can geofence those as well and create an audience from that.
Nice.
That
looks like it for the Q&A at the moment. So going back to the original kind of outline here, we've got marketplaces up next, and I know we've got some pre-questions for that, but I just want to take it a level up. What is a marketplace in this industry? Where does that define at? How necessary are they? Or the usability? What would you how would you classify marketplaces for the cannabis industry?
Yeah, so cannabis marketplace would be something along the lines of a Weed Maps or Leafly. So think Yelp. So Yelp is somewhat of a marketplace. It's a place that you can go to find businesses related to what you're searching. So our industry is cannabis retailers and brands. So if you're looking to find a business in your area, you can go on a marketplace and you can see a full list of all the dispensaries in your area. Okay. Same thing with products. So Leafly and Weed Maps, they're a little different in kind of their offering, but essentially they have their own set of cannabis consumers who they know already buy cannabis products, and you're really like buying into access those consumers. Yeah,
because it's only within their network, I would assume.
Yeah, and I think I'm trying to remember. I think Weed Maps has close to 15 million active users according to their last quarterly report. And both these companies are public, by the way. So a lot of this information is accessible like through their quarterly reports. So let me actually check. I did do a post on this earlier this week.
Oh,
wow. But let's see. Marketplaces. Yeah, I got 13.9 million marketplaces, cannabis consumers in Weed Maps, and 10 million active users in Leafly. Okay. So you get a good chunk of business there that you can leverage and get access to to those consumers for your brand.
How would you go about leveraging that? Obviously, there's probably a cost for advertising on what do the placements look like? Is it more display focused or more search based? How does that work?
Yes, I know that Weed Maps and Leafly, they offer like a preferred listing, so you can it's kind of like a paid a bidding model. Yeah. So if you want to be the first dispensary in San Diego for that category, then you can kind of pay for that preferred spot.
Oh, okay. So it's almost like the Google search page, but it's just really boiled down to be within the Leafly or Weed Maps marketplace, so that your search is only going to be cannabis, area dispensaries or whatever, but you can pay for that top listing.
Yeah, you can. So it's a little different. Like Google is more organic, right? So like Google wants to provide the best experience for the customer. So it's based on like reviews. It's based on proximity to where you're searching from. Whereas in like these other platforms like Weed Maps or Leafly, you can actually just pay to get at the top. But that can entail like there's a lot of competition, so it can get you into bidding wars. So that's the only kind of downside from that. But the good thing is like you can get sales fairly quickly. So if I'm a delivery service, I'd probably go down the route of using Weed Maps in California. They have different market shares as well. So that's another thing to consider is like Weed Maps is big in California. Leafly's bigger in like Washington State. I know Michigan has a pretty big weed map saturation, Washington, D.C. So it definitely varies depending on the platform. And actually, there's a great tool that I would recommend so you can actually see like where weed maps is being searched for. And that would be at Google Trends.
Oh.
So if I just did a simple search for weed maps in Google Trends, let's just do United States. You can see right there. So it looks like California, Nevada is pretty solid interest. Oklahoma, Maine, Michigan. They have the highest saturation. Arkansas, Colorado, Nevada. And if I did a search for Leafly, looks like Arizona's huge on Leafly. Oregon, Washington, same thing, Oklahoma. And, I guess it's fair. Like Oklahoma has, I think, the most cannabis stores for any state. But yeah, they pretty much gave a dispensary to everyone there.
Everybody's got their methods.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, then we do have a question in the Q&A. It's from Jim. I'm interested to see what your take is here. I'll let you read that one, but I sell a natural cleaner online in a small town where local SEO is less effective, which would make sense in a small town with less volume there, right? So what would be a better strategy than local SEO?
You can do a paid search campaign, right?
That's always my answer. That's why I wasn't sure if that was the right answer.
Natural cleaner online. I guess you're kind of talking about like household and personal care products. I guess paid search would be one, and if it's an actual product, I would probably invest in the shopping feeds. All right.
Awesome.
So if it's not cannabis related, you can get approved in the shopping feeds, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we can get CBD approved in shopping feeds as well, right?
We can get quite a bit, yeah. As long as there's no THC in there, we've had decent success with shopping feeds, shopping ad stuff.
Awesome.
It's a bong cleaner you can eat, so it is cannabis related and very interesting. I would say the local SEO or the SEO would be a workaround, but I'd be interested in trying out some shopping ads for that, because I do think we could probably find some solutions there. But that's an interesting one, Jim. Thanks.
Yeah. So yeah, some more. It's a bong cleaner. Okay, got it. All right, continue on, Nick.
All right, let's do it.
What's you got for me?
On into social media. So social media is a big beast, lots of opinions there. What social media platform would be maybe not best, but just your first focus if you were going to do social media advertising? I guess also, is it all advertising versus social or organic posting? How do you marry the two, and where would you look first?
Yeah, so for cannabis brands and retailers, I would say Instagram. It would be my number one. There's a lot of users. I would say there's a lot of users on that platform, and Facebook. Like those are the two that have large audiences of cannabis consumers. The one thing I would keep in mind for this is that it's only meant to build brand awareness.
Oh.
You're not supposed to promote the sale or use of cannabis. You can't put deals on there. You can't even put your phone number, your address, anything on your Instagram profile. And that's actually in their law, like in their policy. So actually, let me pull that up right now, because I was just looking at that earlier.
Yeah, I'm curious too. With that, can you put paid promotion behind the ads of the post, or is it strictly no promotion at all?
This is organic. So if as far as social media, like, you'll have to, post like images, stories on Instagram or Facebook. But you can see here is prohibits any marijuana seller, including dispensaries, from promoting their business by providing contact information like phone numbers, email addresses, street address, or by using the contact us tab we do allow people to include a website in their bio information. So, that's, you have to follow their policy. I've worked with partners in the past that have gotten banned or shadow banned. And, it's sad to see, especially you invest all this money in, investing in, like a photo shoot and growing your followers. There's a lot that goes into social media. So like, just be aware, like it's not just posting content. Like you have to get someone to actually produce that content and manage that whole process for you.
Okay. And I assume with Instagram being by Meta, by Meta or whatever it is now, Facebook is the same type of policies then as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other channels that are more open to it or more, inclusive? Is there anything out there?
Yeah, I mean, right. Well, first of all, and there used to be, there is no like cannabis only social, like cannabis focused, like social media platform right now. Mass Roots was one of those in the past. But I believe Burner and Weed Maps are putting together one that's going to be coming out soon. Oh. So I'd keep an eye out for that one. LinkedIn is great for B2B. So I mean, I prefer LinkedIn by far over any of the other social media platforms because they are friendly. They're not a public company, so that's another reason that they can have their own private policies, right. And they don't have to adhere to what Meta does. So a little more open and lenient when it comes to talking about cannabis on those platforms. But once again, like you have to know the purpose of social media. It's really top of funnel, and it's to create brand awareness. It's not to generate sales. It's to build your social network. It's to build your network. It's for networking with other people. So I just want to make sure I emphasize that people know, like, hey, you really have to use these channels in the right way. Or else, you can get shut down or banned. Yeah.
Yep. Makes sense. It looks like Jim had an issue with Facebook ads and they've been maybe suspended or no longer allowed to advertise. In that scenario, if you've got 2,000 followers, would you keep the page and just avoid the advertising part and go organic? It sounds like maybe you would because it's the play to do there. But he's asking, would it be worth it to start over with a new page? And I'm guessing the answer is no there, but what do you think?
No, I mean, I would continue to grow that 2,000 follower page and just know, Jim, that you're not supposed to advertise cannabis products on there through their ad platform. I would recommend, doing a, display campaign like through us, because then you can advertise on mainstream media. Yeah, it was a hard lesson. Like I had some partners that have had 10,000 followers on their cannabis brand, and they lost it, and it really set back their business on their engaging with their existing followers. So they had to start from scratch, and in that case, I'd probably build a backup as well.
Gotcha. You mentioned LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Somebody had a chat question. Sabrina, what about Twitter? Is it worth it?
I don't see too much business occurring as far as the cannabis industry on Twitter. I would say it's more for influencers, media trying to get their word out there. So like if you have a CEO or founder that really wants to share their personal experience, their personal opinions, Twitter would be the best place, similar to like how Elon Musk uses it, right? It's it's really like a personal connection, and it's a short overview of some of their thoughts. I don't see too many people using using Twitter for the cannabis industry effectively. I see it more like a syndication, and I do see like a lot of spam on there as well. So that's the only thing to consider there.
Okay. And then for somebody who may be a little more, into this process or a little more seasoned in social media, say they've already got a solid Instagram and Facebook following, groups are built up, whatever it may be. What can they do? What would be the next step in that progression, or the next platform or tool that they can look to utilize, either to, expand what they're doing on Facebook and Instagram, or break it out into yet another area or platform?
I mean, I would probably stick with those two. And then, I mean, there's a few differences in them, like the audiences, like Facebook is, has an older demographic, and it's more widely used globally. So it has more active users globally. Instagram has a younger user base. And then, beyond that, I would say Snapchat. I do know some like social media influencer agencies that give you, the ability to reach, a large cannabis consumer base through Snapchat as well. So like swipe up campaigns for clicks, like that's one thing that you can pay to get exposure to. So that, I guess that's the workaround. So you can't pay Facebook and Instagram, Snapchat directly for ads, but you can pay influencers that have, 1 million to up to, I think a few I know have like 30 million followers that they're managing, and you can pay to have them do swipe up campaigns. So that's a story, someone posts a story and then you can click on the link in Instagram to go to a project page, and you can add a UTM to that so you can track any of the sales from those efforts.
Gotcha. Would TikTok be kind of similar than the Snapchat in that area? Influencer based and follower volume would be what you're looking for?
Yeah, I would say so. Just the only thing is TikTok is it's the most strict out of all the platforms.
Oh.
So yeah, if any like showing cannabis flower or anything, like it's highly restricted. So I would just kind of err on the side of caution for that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. How much more? What's our run length for this thing? How much time we got?
We got 20 minutes.
Okay, cool. Let's just keep carrying on. Do we want to do paid search, or we want to skip over to display advertising? How are you feeling?
Let's do high level paid search.
Okay.
Oh, I guess we already covered it. I mean, I showed you the Google ad at the top. I showed you the Google ad and the local pack. It's essentially, you're just paying to skip to the front of the line. And Nick, like what's, as far as like, how much does that cost? Like, what do you think?
Oh, it depends. It's a cost per click model, obviously. So depending on the market, you can get anywhere from, $1.50 to $4 or $5 a click. So monthly budget, good minimum level is typically 2,000 or 3,000 per location. But some locations will take 7,500 to 8 or 9, 10,000 per location. Especially if you're a location-based dispensary, but if you're a delivery area, the whole delivery region can be covered, and costs can be whatever you need it to be to kind of feel like you have adequate coverage from 10, 15, 20,000 and up. We've got some bigger clients that have, 50 plus locations. And so you can get your costs up there, but they see the return on the back end with the ROAS that we're tracking and coming through. So it's always a money-making endeavor. And like you mentioned, SEO being the triathlon or a marathon, where it's a longer, more drawn out endurance kind of product. Google Ads has that aspect, but we get the advantage of, I can build a campaign and launch it today, and tomorrow it'll be serving in that top ad spot if it's the right ad in the right place. I don't have to have the wait time and the kind of clout built up behind me of validity. We can kind of pay to cut the line, if you will.
Yeah. And then to answer your question, Mason, you can go through an influencer directly, or to an agency that manages them. Dank City is one that I know that manages influencers, and there's Top Tree Agency as well. So those are two that actually manage influencers.
And those sound like those are cannabis specific influencer agencies too. So that's even pretty niche right there. Okay, crazy. Yeah. All right, moving into display. We kind of touched base on display a little bit, but how does it fit into the overall marketing mix? If we've got SEO, we've got our website, we've got some paid stuff going on, where do you throw display in there, and what's its function and focus?
Yeah, so display is going to be top of funnel. So think of a digital billboard, right? You're driving down the freeway in Los Angeles, you're seeing billboards. So it's interruptive, right? Like you're reading the news, and you're going to see multiple banners. And the goal of that is really to support in the rule of 7, right? So, you want a potential customer to see your business 7 times before they'll actually, make a purchase. That's kind of an old school theory, but it still applies today. So it's really just gaining brand awareness. So when we talk about display advertising, it's the types that you can use is like banners, right? So you can do banner ads on publications, mobile apps, games, dating, chat, music streaming, podcast streaming. You can actually do audio ads. You can also do a connected TV, so like streaming video on your like at home device or Roku. And then you can also do it on gaming consoles. Okay. So there's a lot of places that you can position display advertising. And then in addition to that, I would also kind of throw in digital at-home advertising. So, those digital kiosks that you see, like bus stations or like metropolitan areas, airports, like there's a lot of places that you can reach customers through digital at-home. So yeah, as far as the marketing mix, I would, really it's brand awareness, really gaining traction as far as, an initial campaign, but there's other campaigns that can run for display advertising that are kind of bottom of funnel. So if someone has come to your website, they, went to your shopping cart, but they didn't check out, you can retarget them with ads. So you can, follow them around and continue to show them your brand and maybe an incentive or a deal if that's allowed in your state until they come back and purchase from you. So that's something that we do quite often. And it's really successful. And the great thing about that is, you have a pixel installed on your website, and any traffic that goes to your website, whether it's from paid search, SEO, from social media, or any of the channels, that all goes into a bucket, and you can retarget those with ads, retarget that audience with ads. So there's a few ways that you can use display advertising.
Would all of those out of home, the display, I think you mentioned one or two others in there that the little
kiosks,
would those all be the same programmatic or display campaign essentially, and it's just different placements, or would that have to be an individual decision to be in those certain areas or those certain places?
That would be kind of discussed when you're building out a marketing strategy. So banners would be one campaign, and I would say video would be a different campaign type. Okay. Audio would be another, and then digital out of home would be a separate. So if I wanted to advertise in like bars, because they're 21 and up, and I know they have a compliant audience, then I can run that as a campaign. So I would consider them separate.
Gotcha. That makes sense. There's a question here in the Q&A from Hannah that I think would be interesting if we have any insights to. I don't know if we do, but basically she's asking, some dispensaries seem to be able to post pretty much whatever they want, bud, cannabis language, etc., and graphics and whatnot, but they can't literally post anything without getting flagged or removed. Is there a differentiation there? Is there anything maybe that you can pinpoint? Is it a page setup, parameter or something that perhaps is off?
I've seen that, right? Like the flower porn, like you have the Jungle Boys and other platforms that they post flower all the time and they don't have any problems. But then, Burner and Jungle Boys have both been shut down by Instagram at some point. So, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's like, how much do you want to invest in there? How much do you want to be explicit on these platforms? The language that you use, I would say, is more important. Like you might be able to post flower, but I wouldn't say like this is on sale or this is available or this is, I wouldn't talk about like anything that that's outside of the Instagram policy. I mean, that's the best that you can do. Unfortunately, like you're not going to get any real answers back from the social media platforms. And it's, sad to say, like a lot of the times, the reason that you may be getting disapproved or flagged is one of your competitors is reporting it. So that's kind of unfortunate part of social media.
Gotcha.
We have another question. Do websites with ads have to demonstrate that an audience is primarily over the age of 21? Yeah. So on the targeting, like when you're actually setting up a display ad campaign, you set that as parameter. So like we know like the demographic information about the different consumers based on their mobile device ID. So you can tell if the on my phone it's called the IDFA or mobile device ID. It's almost like a mobile social security card kind of social security number. So they'll know that I'm like male 37 and I guess where I'm visiting and what stores I visit on a regular basis. So on the advertiser side, I can choose that information and say, hey, like I only want to advertise that people are female and 21 and up. Or if I'm in Canada, it can be 18 or 19 and up, like depending on what the regulations are in your state or province. So I would just keep that in mind that it's you do have the capabilities of kind of gating or only targeting people that are 21 and up with display advertising or programmatic. You can do the same with Google Ads as well, right?
Yeah, the ranges are a little broader, but you can. I want to, off the top of my head,
25.
I think it's 24 to 31 is the lowest that we do. And then we lose a couple of people in the 21 to 23 range, but for compliance, that's completely worth it.
Yeah. And I believe in California, it's like 71.6% of all your people that see your advertisers have to be of the compliance age. So that's where like digital marketing, this whole ecosystem is, that much more powerful because you can actually limit that. And then you can provide proof. So if you go into like Google Analytics, you can actually export all your demographic information and you can show that as proof if, you get audited by one of the regulatory systems. So,
gotcha.
And that's, one reason why, it's kind of veer clients away from doing billboards because it's a little harder to show proof on who you're actually reaching. And then there's no way to actually attribute that to a sale. So besides asking in store, like, hey, where did you hear about us?
Right.
It was a billboard. Yeah.
Which is a hard one to close.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got it down to one last topic here, and I don't believe we've got any outstanding questions. So email and text messaging marketing. Let's figure that out. What can we leverage there? What is possible? What's the best content to put through those, maybe as opposed to, your website content and the variations or differences there?
Yeah. So, I guess step one would be ensure that you are capturing people's email addresses and phone numbers, whether it's on the website or in store.
With their permission.
With their permission. Yeah. So you have to actually get them to select like a checkbox to opt in to marketing messages. So be sure that you do that, or else you'll get you can get large fines for them. From text messaging someone. I think it's $15,000 per message if you text them without their permission. So make sure that you follow best practices and you're compliant. Second thing is, this is really meant for nurturing clients. So this is bottom of funnel. People have already come in your store or they've already visited your website. So they're familiar with you. So you can leverage email and SMS to send weekly deals, encourage them to like some of the platforms like Alpine IQ, like they have loyalty programs, right? So you can opt people into your loyalty program, and then you send text messages with different tiers, like as they spend different amounts of money and they get credits. And then also like product announcements, product drops. There's a lot of ways that you can use SMS and email marketing for this. I would say the difference is like SMS, I'd say, is more driving like sales for that day. So it's like more instant.
Okay.
Email I would use more to promote brands, to promote your overall kind of like what's going on for the week. So you can send out an email on Monday. It's like, here are the deals of the week. Here are the product drops of the week. Whereas in text messaging, you can just send out a text message to each person.
Those are both first party data plays too. So that's probably a low cost way to increase like your average or your lifetime value of each customer to get them back for repeat business and get them just brand loyal even to another degree.
Exactly. So, with the SMS, there's a lot more segmentation that you have available. So you can actually, segment by brand. So anyone that's purchased, anything by Cannabis over the last 6 months, I can select that and then only text message, deals related to this brand to that audience. Or I can segment by like product category. So if they bought flour in the past or edibles, like the different customer segments, you should speak to them in the products that they're actually interested in. You can look at their history of what they've purchased in the past and really make sure your messaging is relevant.
Yeah. What are you using for that type of outreach? That wouldn't be anything I'm familiar with in the Google world. What would that be platform wise?
It's like Alpine IQ, Spring Big. Those are two popular platforms that people use where, they have connections with the point of sale system. So they're able to pull all this information and then segment customers based on their purchasing habits. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And then there's one that I know that some MSOs use is just Klaviyo. So they use Klaviyo to do abandonment cart campaigns. So, if someone goes through the checkout process, but then doesn't buy, they can get an automatic email saying like, "Hey, come back to the store to finish your purchase." So that's something I've seen on some retailers.
Oh yeah, and even non-cannabis will do that. Well, they'll hit you up with a 10% offer to come back and complete your purchase or whatever to get your abandoned cart completed there. That makes sense.
Yep, exactly. I believe you can do SMS with Klaviyo as well. So
cool.
You can do both. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Any other questions before we hop? We're almost at the top of the hour here. Mason, thank you for your questions. Appreciate that. And hopefully that was helpful. Anyone else, I'm happy to hop on a call and kind of work through a marketing strategy. So I'll post my calendar link here in the Zoom chat. Feel free to schedule a time with me and happy to go through any of these strategies and see if I can support you in any way.
Great. And thank you too, Jim. It was interesting learning about I'm curious what the natural edible bong cleaner is. So that's always fun. This industry is great.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Nick, for joining me today. And thank you for the audience for joining. And, once again, signing off here at MediaJel. And, we are your entry point for connecting cannabis retailers and brands to consumers. And as I mentioned before, we do that through our ad network of mainstream publishers, mobile apps, games, and TV. And we integrate paid search with SEO and display advertising. So we're the only one in the industry doing this. So, happy to kind of share our new technology and elevate, companies further. So
definitely. Thank you, everybody.
Cool. See you later.
It was fun, Guillermo. Have a good one.